Whoa, that's something. How you going? My name's Terence and welcome back to Rusted Iron Ranch. Today we should have a pretty cool video. I've just picked up two motorbikes. I paid $100 each for them. I paid $200 for the pair. So what we have here is a 1980 Kawasaki KV100 two-stroke, kind of like an ag bike. Believe they're a 5-speed gearbox with a high-low, like a sub transmission, much the same as like your CT90s and CT110s. And the other bike is a CT125 Honda, another ag bike. I'm actually not quite sure what year it is. I've got it facing down, so I can't actually see the markings there. I think these were built about 79 through to, I actually think they made them right up into the 80s. So yeah, I think these should be a couple of cool little projects. I'm gonna get them off the trailer and give them a quick spray down with the Karcher just to clean them off. And I reckon this two-stroker I might be able to get going today. So I'm gonna spend a little bit of time. I'll clean it up. I'll make sure it's got fuel, spark. I know it's got a little bit of compression. Just pushing it over by hand, I can feel a little bit of compression there. So I feel like it might go. So yeah, I'll bring you along today and we'll do a bit of work and see if we can get, especially we're not going to worry about the CT today. I've got other plans for that. I do have the motor there, but we're going to see if we can get this Kawasaki KV100 running. Fingers crossed, but I'm pretty hopeful. These are two strokes, there's not much to them, so I think we'll get it running today. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we got it cleaned off. Looks $1 million now. I blew it off, then put some degreaser on it, just to get a bit more of that dirt and grime off. The engine casings are starting to look pretty good. It's not totally clean, but it's a start. I hate working in real dirty conditions, so at least it's a bit of the dirt's blown off, and then we can start tearing into it. I will just let it dry for a little minute before I bring it in, and we'll check it's got spark, check that all the fuel lines are not blocked, and yeah, if we're good to go, I think she'll run. And the CT looks a little bit sad for itself, although it's pretty solid. Just an update, it's a 1990 bike. I do remember they did keep making the 125 longer, because they made the 185 and the 200, and I think they were both pull start. They kept making the CT 125 up until the 90s, which was still the original vertical 125 engine kickstart, which are actually just leftover engines from the TL days. So I actually have a TL 125 trials bike, and the CTs, the original CTs, were built using those engines, because they had a real low close ratio box in them, as opposed to your XLs, SLs, CBs were obviously the road bikes, and they had a bit taller gear ratio in them. So yeah, this bike went from late 70s right through to potentially the 90s, and I did notice this is a CDI bike, whereas the original ones were obviously points. So that should be a cool project at some point, but just not yet. What we're focusing on is the $100 KV100. So yeah, I'll just let it dry off a little bit more, and yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, so the KV's dried off a little bit. It looks really good now it's been washed. I might even just throw up a little before and after, just so you can really get an appreciation of actually how much better this looks. I've pumped up the tyres, they pumped right up. Whether or not they'll hold is something else. I've also gone around and sprayed anything that should move, or even stuff that doesn't move, just nuts and bolts that I might have to undo at some point with WD-40. Things like the fuel tap was actually really crunchy. Everything seems to move. It does have compression. The brakes work. Just when I pushed it in here, the front and rear brakes worked. Now, I did just have a little sneak peek in the fuel tank, and so let's have a look at this. It looks pretty gross on the cap. I don't know if you're going to be able to see in there, but there's like this rusty, sandy type scenario. If I put my finger in there, oh, that's what's in there. It's nearly, it feels like, to give you an idea, it feels like real fine metal shavings, but it's, well, it probably is. It's probably the rust metal shavings coming off. I think underneath it actually feels alright. I actually think I'm going to have to pull this tank really before I do anything else and give it a thorough clean. Okay, a little update on the tank. I've just rattled it round with 10 rocks in it with the fuel that was in there. It's really stale, smells really like lacquery. Already we're starting to clean it up. So what I'm going to do a couple more times of that. I'm actually going to do it with diesel. I'm going to put some diesel in there, shake it around a heap of times and try and get that to a stage where there's not much crud coming out of it. And then we'll put it back on the bike and sort our fuel system out from there. Okay, so I did a good 2 or 3 goes with the diesel and the 10 rocks, and luckily I got 10 rocks back out of it, so there's no longer rocks in the fuel tank. Now it does look really clean. I know you're probably not going to be able to see that. You can see the blinking of the GoPro in there. It is pretty clean. I will probably have to run a fuel filter with this anyway. So tank looks like it can hold some fuel and not contaminate the rest of the engine. I did notice while I had some liquid in there that the fuel tap wasn't working, so I'm just going to quickly take this off, and I'm assuming the same crud gunk will be in behind here as well. I'll just quickly clean that up and then we'll have a look at the bike. Now, the word from the previous owner was that this did run fine a few years ago, or it's actually hard to tell how long ago it was, but it kept fouling plugs. So that sounds kind of like the issue that I have read about these, where if you pre-mix fuel, they can foul up a little bit. So their fix was either cleaning the spark plug all the time or replacing it and it'd run again. Sounds pretty healthy to me. I'm actually just going to put some WD down the plug hole. That can just seep around the rings. Lube up the cylinder that probably hasn't been lubed up in a million years. Yeah, it actually sounds pretty healthy. And we've got a decent plug gap. So this will be the next test. That doesn't feel great, but as in the, let's see. There's no spark there. Now let me just muck around with some, look, there's a toggle switch on the handlebar. Oh, there we go, spark. Toggle switch is wired up to ignition. Now I won't touch if it works for the minute. I'm not touching a thing. So we have spark. That's actually pretty good. Whether or not you'll be able to work that, see that on the camera is something else. Oh, just zapped me. Take my word, it works. Good spark. Okay. Well, in that case, we'll put the plug back in. Okay, so we've got our side cover off here, and we can now get to the carb. I can't really work out how how the old oil system worked. I'll look into that later. But before I pull the carby apart, I'm just going to spray some brake clean right in the inlet, and we'll see if we can get a fire out of it. Still nothing. Really not that bad. Now I'm just going to grab some carby cleaner. I'll spray it all through here, and I'm just going to blow air through it. I won't film that because I'll probably get carby cleaner all over the camera or something like that. So we'll just go through that, and yeah, hopefully we can hook some fuel up to it and it'll run. So I might have mentioned before, but these engines are actually a rotary valve engine. So instead of using reeds, which would usually be, say, on the back of your cylinder, you'd have an inlet port, and then they'd suck kind of like a flapper on the intake stroke and allow fuel to go in. These are kind of like a mechanical, I don't know if you're going to be able to see in there. I'm going to try and, I'm holding the camera, a torch so you can see, and I've taken the plug out so I can crank it. So you can see the crank, looks like the crankshaft going around, and see that thing that just shut? So it's like a disc with a little port out of it, and that appears to be like a mechanical, there's a bit of scoring on there actually, mechanical reed valve, or just a valve. So it's just a rotary valve instead. I'm just noticing that, to me, looks like that little brass little nozzle. I reckon that's where the oil injection comes in, which would be this line here. So that's why they don't want you to pre-mix, because the oil is supposed to probably lubricate the rotary valve by the looks of that. I cannot tell if I'm filming any good or not. Yeah, hope you can see that. So that's potentially how it works. Okay, so we've got our carby cleaned, and I've put it all back together. It was relatively clean. So I think the main issue, we're just not getting real fuel. I'm trying to run it on, you know, your brake cleaner, all the rest of it. Alright, we'll put our plug back in. Put our side cover back on. Pop our little inline filter on. Okay, so we've got fuel. See a little bit down in that inline filter there. Let's see if we've got fuel to the carby. Maybe I need the choke. The hand choke. First, second, neutral. Well, that didn't work. Might double check my spark again. Just catch my breath for a second. Okay. We'll have a look at our spark, I think. Fuel down the spark plug. Whoa! That's something. Okay, welcome back. It's a couple of days later now. I just thought I'd bring the KV100 in the shed and have another little look at it. Now, I'd already cleaned out the carby a couple of times, so I've gone back through that again. We've still been getting really good spark, so I thought maybe we're not getting enough compression, so I took the head off. It's a 50 thou oversized piston, so it's been rebuilt once or twice before, and it looked pretty good. A little bit of wear, but it did look pretty good, and we've been getting really good compression. So I thought maybe the exhaust was blocked, so I've taken the exhaust off. And while I took the exhaust off, I just sprayed some WD-40 in the top of the cylinder on top of the piston, just below top dead center. So it filled up and it did not leak past in the probably 10 minutes I had the exhaust off. Exhaust seems to be fine, so I've had a look at that. Then check the spark again. We're still getting great spark. So we've got fuel, we've got really good compression, we've got spark. So I just rang my dad before and said, what do you remember about these rotary valve KV100s? Because my family actually had two of these back in the 70s. Plus Dad's done a lot of work on motorbikes and small engines over the years, as well as everything else. And he did say with the rotary valve, like this is early two-stroke technology, there might have been some weird thing with the spark plugs where once they were in, you know, you'd have them out, and you'd be getting great spark, just grounding it out to the head here. And then you'd put it in and maybe something with the compression or something was changing the properties. Maybe the spark plug was too wet, like the inside was too wet and it was shorting out. Something along those lines. So he said, grab another spark plug and try that. So I thought, okay, I'll see if I've got any spark plugs here. So we can see the fuel tap's leaking as we're speaking. So I've grabbed another spark plug. Now it's not the same. I think it's a B6S, and the one that was in it is like a BR70S. I'll double check and see what it's supposed to have and probably replace it again. Although we've made a drastic improvement, that much of a drastic improvement that it actually started on me with first kick with the exhaust off. So I'll set you up and I'll show you. Ignition switch is on. I have straightened out the Kickstarter because it was all bent up. So I heated it up, straightened it up, knocked the rubber back on, and that's 10 times better already. It's not getting caught up on the brake pivot there. So here we go. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. The back tyre's gone down. I did pump them up the other day. The back tyre must have a slow leak. So I might just quickly slime that and pump it back up. I just selected gear and the clutch works, so we've got drive. I'll put this side cover on. I think that might be why it's not revving properly. It's probably doesn't have the right resistance through the case and up through the air cleaner. So we'll chuck the side cover back on and let's go out and take it for a ride. Okay, let's make this quick. That rear tyre is going down as we speak. And there we have it, the $100 Kawasaki KV100. It runs. I'm pretty happy with that. So far I'm into it, the $100 plus the fuel filter, and I might have a tube there. These are 18-inch, so I reckon I've got a tube so I can replace that myself. But I'm pretty happy with that. I think I might, I was thinking about what I was going to do with this. But I think I might keep it. It'll be a good little spare bike for people to come and ride when they come up to the ranch, and yeah, nice and safe, nice and low to the ground. So I think I'll keep it. I might do a little couple of tidy up things on it. It's got a good seat on it. The tank's clean for the most part now. Could probably do with a new guard. It's looking a little bit worse for wear, but all in all, pretty good for $100 really. So yeah, sorry this video has been over a couple of days. I just couldn't get it all done that first day, and it was just yeah, really racking my brains as to why it wasn't running. And yeah, all it took was a new spark plug, and that seems really easy, and something I probably should have tried anyway, but it had really good spark, and the spark plug was clean, and so yeah, I actually just didn't try it because all my diagnostic knowledge was saying it doesn't need it. So there you go. It probably doesn't hurt to just try something, even though you think it's right. So yeah. Well, if you like the video, be sure to like. If you want to see more, subscribe. My name's Terrence. This has been Rust Iron Ranch. Thanks for watching.